Hi everyone, welcome to the Brainfuse training webinar for the University of Hawaii Community Colleges. My name is Jamie Wallace. I'll be conducting the webinar today. So everybody should be able to see the screen right now. We're on the University of Hawaii Community Colleges homepage. So this is what your students will see when they access the Brainfuse service. So today I'm basically going to go through all the different options that your students will have when they access Brainfuse. I'll click on everything and show you exactly how it all works. Then you'll be able to direct your students to the service if they might benefit from it, or even help them use it if they're having any difficulty. So this is the main page. So when your students click on the Brainfuse link from the University of Hawaii website, they will get to this page. There's three different tabs here. Expert Help is the first tab here, and we have Study and Collaborate. So I'm just going to work my way through each tab and the different options we have within each one. So starting right here, we have the Live Help button. This is sort of our foundational service. It involves connecting with one of our live tutors in our online classroom. So when your students click on the Live Help button right here, to connect with one of our live tutors, all they have to do is first select the topic. You'll see we have a number of topics available here. So let's say I choose business, and then they choose the subject. So that's sort of a subtopic within business. So here we have accounting, economics, and finance. Let's look at the other subjects available. So you can choose computer and tech, and then we have Excel, PowerPoint, Windows, and Word. Or you can choose English, where we have reading and writing. Math, where we have a number of math subjects, pretty much all the standard higher level math subjects are available here. And then within science, we have anatomy, biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, and physics. So those are the options. After you've chosen the one that you want, you click on the Get Live Help button right here, and that will connect you with a live tutor in a live session. We're going to look at a live session, but we'll do that at the very end today. So I'm going to go through all of the services first, and then the last thing we'll do is look at the live session. You can also click on this checkbox here if you'd like to get a Spanish-speaking tutor. So that was the Live Help button, the first option here. We'll move on to the next one. Right next to that, we have Skill Surfer. So basically, this allows your students to look through a number of lessons and videos and other content that we've created. So you don't actually have to connect with one of our live tutors. You can just click on Skill Surfer and then find the topic that you're looking to work on and look through the lessons and other materials that we have created. So these are the topics where we have Skill Surfer available. So within English, we have reading and writing. Within math, we have algebra and trig. And within science, we have bio, chem, and physics. So let's say, for example, I choose college algebra. So within college algebra, we have all these different subtopics. So each one of these here, it's also listed over here. So within numbers and operations, for example, there's 105 lessons here I can click on to look through all of them. And then there's all these other topics here as well, quadratic equations, formulas, and within each of those folders, there's a number of lessons. So you'll see the little orangish, reddish icon is just a text lesson that we have created, sort of like one you'd find in a textbook. But then we also have a lot of these green video icons. So those are videos that we've created. They'll go over the basics of the topic and then some sample and practice questions as well. There's audio in the videos. They've been narrated, so they're very useful for someone especially who doesn't learn very well just from looking at a textbook. They can use one of these video lessons. So students can come here, look through and find the topic that they're working on, and then look through the lessons and videos that we have on that topic. So again, we have the same thing available for English topics and also for science topics, as well as math. If we go back to the home page, our next option here is the Writing Lab. So the Writing Lab basically allows your students to send in pieces of writing to have them reviewed by one of our writing tutors. So if a student's working on a paper or an essay and they finish a draft a few days in advance, or at least one day in advance of the due date, they can come here to Brainfuse, send it in to one of our tutors, and have them review it, and then we'll send it back to the student. So the student sends in their paper, we'll send it back within a max turnaround time of 1 business day. But as soon as a student sends in their paper, it's available to our tutors to edit, so they might get it back an hour or two later. but at most it'll be sent back to them 1 business day later. So let's click on the Writing Lab button here. So to actually send in a document, all you have to do is follow the 2 steps here. So attach your document in number 1. So just find that wherever you saved it on your computer. I'll upload a sample here. Pretty much any standard document type is fine, as well as the document size. This is a huge file size, so any number of pages can be submitted. You then have a comments box here, so you can type out any comments you'd like to make to the tutor. You could let the tutor know what the assignment was. Maybe you're only looking for help with the conclusion. Anything like that you can type out to the tutor here, and they'll see these comments. And then when you're ready, just click on the Submit button, and that will send that document into us. So this message right here directs you to the Message Center. So up here at the top of the page, we have the Message Center. And this right here is the document that we just sent in. So when the tutor sends back their response, it'll show up directly below the submission we sent in right here. It'll have their comments as well as the actual file that they send back. So when our tutors send back a response, it will contain a rubric with some general and overview comments, and then also some comments within the text of the paper itself. So we'll be giving the student feedback on exactly what they can do to write a better paper, but we're not making all the changes for the student. So this right here is just one sample. So we have the rubric up here with some general overview comments, and then if you go further down, you'll see the paper itself, and the tutor has inserted these comments here in red text. So this is what it looks like when we send back a paper to the student. So the goal of the tutors is to show the student how they can write a better paper. So we're not trying to make the changes for the student. We're not trying to pick out every grammar error or typo, although we'll point out recurring grammar errors. But the goal is for the student to then be able to go back and make changes, take our suggestions into consideration, and make changes before they turn it in. So it's sort of like having your teacher or professor look over the paper before you have to turn it in for a grade. These documents will be saved here in your Message Center, so you can always log back in later and access your Message Center here to retrieve these documents, both the ones you submit and the ones that our tutors send back. If we go back to the home page, that was the Writing Lab option. Right next to that, we have the 24/7 Center button. So this option here works exactly the same way as the Writing Lab that we just looked at, except within the 24/7 Center, you can send in any academic questions you have. So the Writing Lab is for papers. Here you can send in math questions, science questions, whatever the academic topic is. So we have the same topics available here that we looked at before for the live tutoring. So you just choose the one that you have a question about. You can type out your question here in the text box, or you can attach a document here in number 3. That's optional though, you don't have to. And then you click on Submit, and that sends the question in to us. And again, we'll respond within a max turnaround time of 1 business day. But especially for questions sent in here, we usually respond more quickly than that. And again, that question is saved in your Message Center, just like with the documents sent through the Writing Lab. When a student sends in a math problem or something here, our tutors are never going to just give out the answer. So we'll either work through a similar problem to show the student how that type of question is done. If they submit more of a fact-based question, we might direct them to a website, some sort of resource they can use to find the answer, but we're never going to just give out the answer. Back on the home page, right below the 24/7 Center and Writing Lab, we have the last option here in the Expert Help tab, and that is the Language Lab. So basically, the Language Lab is here to make sure students are aware that we offer help for anyone who's learning Spanish. Spanish is the only language we currently offer here in the Writing Lab. So you'll see it's the only option in the drop-down menu. So you can select Spanish and then connect here with a live tutor, and that tutor can help you with learning Spanish. So someone who's taking Spanish classes can come here to get extra help. We also saw in the live tutoring option right here, the first button we looked at, if you click on Live Help, you can click right here to get a Spanish-speaking tutor. Just click on this checkbox. This is used more often by native Spanish speakers, or anyone who's more comfortable learning in Spanish. So someone who wants to get, for example, geometry help in Spanish, whereas Language Lab, again, is for someone who's learning Spanish, so looking for help learning the Spanish language. Okay, so that was the Expert Help tab right here. I'll move on now to the Study tab. And here within the Study tab, we have two options. The first one here is Flashbulb. So Flashbulb is basically an online flashcard service. So if your students are looking to memorize anything, words and definitions, terms from a biology class, whatever it is that they're trying to memorize, they can use Flashbulb here rather than creating actual hard copies of flashcards. And there are a lot of extra things you can do within Flashbulb that you can't do with simple hard copies of flashcards. So here on the left, we have the Create Now button. This is what most students will use. They'll click here, and they can enter their own flashcards. So you type out the words and definitions, and then they're saved here within Flashbulb. We also have all these different topics you can click on over here, and these will let you access sets of flashcards that have been previously created. But most of these sets of cards here were created by other students, so they may not be accurate. Plus, they probably won't cover the exact words that you're looking to work on. But you can always use these sets of flashcards here if you'd like to. So I'm going to click on one of the topics here just to show you what a set of flashcards looks like. So this page right here is a set of flashcards here in Flashbulb. So when you create one, you'll see a page just like this. So you can click on each of these different icons down here, and it will let you do something different with those flashcards. So the first one right here will just show me the cards. So here's the first word is burden. I can click on it to see the definition. And if I know that one, I can put it in the correct pile. Let's say I don't know the next one, I can put that one into the incorrect pile. And then when I'm done, I can retry the ones that I didn't know here in the incorrect pile. But there's a lot of other options down here. So you can click on different games. For example, a crossword puzzle. If you click there, the system creates a crossword puzzle for you using the words over here and the definitions over here as the clues. So you recognize one of your definitions, you know the answer, you can fill in the crossword puzzle here. There's other games like matching, word unscramble, hangman. You can take a quiz or a test when you're ready to test your knowledge of the cards. You can print the cards out if you do want hard copies of them. So there's a lot of options here within Flashbulb to make memorizing a little bit easier for students. If we go back to the main page and again click on the Study tab, that was the Flashbulb option. Right next to that, we have Compass Prep. So for anyone who is preparing to take the Compass test, they can click right here, and we have a few options to prepare for the Compass test. So on the left here, we have Resources. So you can click on this and access Compass Resources. In the middle, you can click on one of the 3 subjects of the Compass test, and then you can take a practice test on that section of the Compass test. And then on the right, you can connect with one of our live tutors who can answer any questions you have or just help you prepare for this particular test. If we go back to the home page, those were the 2 options here in the Study tab. So I'll move on now to the third tab here, which is Collaborate. And again, we have 2 options to choose from. The first one here is Meet. So essentially Meet allows you to schedule an online meeting with whoever you'd like to invite to the session. So it uses our online classroom, just like when you connect with one of our live tutors for a live session. However, in a Meet session, you're not connecting with our tutors. You're only connecting with the people you invite to the session. So students can use this to have a study group outside of the classroom, or even a teacher or professor could use this to give some extra help to students outside of the classroom. And the really nice thing is that everybody can be in a separate location, but you can all connect together in one of these Meet sessions. So if I click on the button here to actually schedule a Meet session, you just have to follow the steps here. So you type in the email addresses of the people you'd like to invite to the session. Then you put in the date and time, brief description of the meeting in number 3, and click on Send. So that will send an email to everybody whose email address you entered. They will be able to click on a link in that email to access the Meet session. So they won't need to download anything. They just click on a link and they can access the session. Once you have a Meet session scheduled, you have this My Calendar option here at the top of the page. So this is where that session would be saved. And as far as the options you have in one of these Meet sessions, I'll go over that when we connect for the live session at the end today. So it's essentially the same as when you connect with one of our live tutors, except you're just connecting with the people you invite to the session. And of course you can have more than 2 people there. So you can have a study group with 4 or 5 or more people. If we go back to the home page and click on the Collaborate tab, that was the Meet session. Right next to that, we have Brainwave. So this button here says Create and Share Movie-like Notes and Ideas. So essentially in Brainwave, you are given a smartboard where you can type out or draw whatever you'd like onto the board. Our system records a little video of whatever you put on the board, and then it saves that video file. So a good example of what you might use this for is to show how to solve a multi-step math problem. You can go through all the steps, including any pictures, shapes, images that go along with it. So it's a little video recording of how to solve that problem, or whatever you want to use it for. And then you have this little video saved of whatever you did on the board. So you can use this just for your own benefit, or these can actually be sent to other people after you create one. So let's click on the Create a Brainwave button here just to see how it works. So this window tells you a little bit more about Brainwave, and then just click on Begin Recording down here when you're ready to start. So we call this window the Brainwave Notepad. It looks just like our online classroom that we'll see in a few minutes. So basically I have the whiteboard space here. I can type out or draw whatever I'd like to on the board using these buttons here that we see along the left-hand side. So let's say, for example, I want to show how to find the slope of a line. I can click on the graph icon, and I can click and drag a graph onto the board. And then I can use the Shapes tool here to put a line onto that graph. I could plot some points using the pencil. And then I could go through the whole process of finding the slope of this line. So I could go through all the steps. The system's recording. So once I've finished and shown how to solve that problem, I can click on Stop Recording down at the bottom, give the Brainwave a name, and then click on Save. So that will save that Brainwave right here. I can click on the play button if I want to replay it, or if I want to send that to somebody else. I just click on the envelope icon right here. I'll enter their email address, and I will email a link they can use to click and watch this Brainwave that I created. You can also click on the Brainwave Library tab here. So just like we had within the flashcard section, the option where you could search for sets of flashcards that others had created, you can do the same thing here just by searching by keyword. So type out a keyword, you can see if there's any brainwaves created on a topic you're working on. And you can always click on My Brainwaves here at the top of the page to access the brainwaves that you've created. One of the additional options up here at the top of the page that we haven't seen yet is My Cloud Pack. So this is essentially a storage device. You can use this to upload any files that you want here into your Cloud Pack. And there's a couple of reasons you might do that. So you can, when you first open Cloud Pack, it's empty. So I can add any folders I'd like. So let's say I want to add one for class notes, for Spanish papers. So you can add whatever folders you'd like, give them whatever names, and then I can upload documents into these folders. So it works as a backup storage device in one capacity, so you can always just log back in here to access these documents. But the nice thing is that any files you have saved here in your Cloud Pack, when you're in a live session, you can access those files and upload them into our online classroom to look at them with a tutor you're connected with. So I'll mention that again when we connect for the live session in a couple minutes. So if we go back to the home page, those were the 3 tabs. So we went over each of the 3 options there. So now I'll go ahead and connect for that live session. So we looked at a number of different areas where you can connect with our live tutors, but probably the most used option and the first one that we looked at today was the Live Help button right here. So I'll go ahead and click on this button to connect with a live tutor. Again, all I have to do is choose a topic and then choose a subtopic here. So let's say I choose writing, and then I click on the Get Live Help button here to connect. So this is our online classroom that's opening up. You'll always see the same online classroom, no matter what subject you choose. You'll see the same options here. So there's two basic parts to the online classroom. We have the whiteboard space at the top here, and then down at the bottom we have the chat box. So this is essentially an instant messaging feature. It's where most of the back and forth between the tutor and student will take place. So I can click down here at the very bottom and type whatever I'd like to the tutor. Up here at the top we have the whiteboard space. So this can be used for a lot of different things. So if, for example, I log in looking for general help on a topic, so how to multiply fractions, something like that, our tutors have access to all of the lessons that we've created. They can take one of the lessons and load it right here onto the whiteboard, and then they can work through that lesson with the student. This area can also be used just to go over a problem that a student has, so a math problem, science problem, anything like that. The student can type it out on the board, and then the tutor can help them go through it. Just like for the questions submitted through the 24/7 Center, our tutors are not going to just work the problem and give the student the answer. So they'll either prompt the student and give them hints or tips, or they'll work through a similar problem to show how that type of question is done. But again, the tutor is not just going to work the problem and give the student the answer. So the buttons you see along the left-hand side are the different things you can put on the whiteboard. So let's go over these now. So if you put your mouse over each one, you'll get a brief description of what that button does. So the freehand draw button lets you draw whatever you'd like on the board. The eraser option will let you erase it. And then we have the ABC button, which is sort of the default option that's selected when you sign in. So this lets you click anywhere on the whiteboard and then type. The font button just lets you change the font style and size that you're typing in. Color wheel lets you change the color of the next thing you put on the board. Then we have a copy and paste option. So anything that can be copied and pasted can be pasted right onto our whiteboard. So let's go back to that paper we looked at before. If I take a sentence or two from that paper, I can copy it, Control-C, and then I go back to the whiteboard. You just click where you want to paste it, and then paste. So this pasted in blue because I happen to have blue selected. If you change the font color, it'll paste in whatever color you have it on. So students can use this to paste part of a paper they're working on and look through it with the tutor. You can copy and paste a math problem from a website or another online source. So anything that can be copied and pasted can be put right onto the whiteboard. This option right here, let me change the color back, just a straight line tool. So you can use this to underline, or you can also use it to draw figures. The next option here gives you the option of choosing either a number line or a graph. So you can choose a number line and click and drag that onto the whiteboard. Or you can also choose the graph option. I'm just going to put it right over top of what we did here. You can click and drag a graph onto the board as well. And you can double click on either of these icons here if you'd like to change the X and Y values. The shapes tool here will let you put some lines on the graph or put some other basic shapes on the board. So there's some circles, for example, if you need them for a geometry problem, or the other shapes you see here you can use as well. The undo arrow just removes the most recent thing you put on the board. So I can click on this and essentially move backwards. The math button gives me a long list of math symbols in case I need any for a math problem. SCI does the same thing for science symbols. Then we have a superscript and a subscript button, and down at the very bottom you can clear the entire whiteboard. Up at the top here, we have a few additional options. The first one is print. So if you went over something that was particularly helpful with your tutor here on the whiteboard, the tutor showed you how to solve a difficult type of question, or you went through one of your homework problems with the tutor, you can use the print button here to print out the whiteboard here. You don't need to do that, however, if you want to access something later. If we go back to the website here, you can always click on the Past Sessions button right here, and your live sessions are automatically recorded and saved here within your account. So you can just click on the play button here to replay one of these sessions. They're automatically saved here, so you don't need to do anything to get them saved, and you can log back in at any point in the future to replay these sessions. You can also click on the orange icon over here next to each one that says Convert to a Brainwave. So if you remember with brainwaves, you can actually send those files to other people. So you can convert a live tutoring session to a brainwave, and then you can send that recording to somebody else through their email so they can view it. Or you can email it to yourself if you'd like to have access to it within your email. If we go back to the online classroom here, the next button, this one here, says Send File. So this lets you upload a document directly to the tutor you're connected with. So you can send them a paper you're working on, or any other standard file type can be sent back and forth. So if you have anything you'd like the tutor to see, you can use this to send it to them. This option right here basically lets you enter an email address, and then it will email a link that you can use to view the recording of your tutoring session. So it's essentially just another way of getting access to that recording. You can always do that from your Past Sessions option back on the website, or you can do it right here when you get to the end of the session. And then the last option here is the Cloud Pak Explorer. So we looked at Cloud Pak before. That was the storage device. So any documents you have uploaded into your Cloud Pak when you're then in a live session here, you can click on this to access your Cloud Pak, and you can upload those documents right onto the whiteboard here. So then you and the tutor could look at them together. So you have a number of options for sharing materials with your tutor. You can use Cloud Pak, you can use the Send File button, or you can just copy and paste parts of anything that you're working on right onto the whiteboard. The Meet sessions that we saw before, so that's where you can schedule the online meeting with whoever you'd like to invite to the session. You'll essentially have the same whiteboard here. You can have, again, additional participants, so you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or more of your friends in that session. That you'll essentially all be working on the same whiteboard and in the same chat box. So whereas here it's just the tutor and student who can paste on the whiteboard or make any changes to the whiteboard, if you have additional people here in a Meet session, you'll all have the same access to the whiteboard here. So you can work through a problem together, go through a study sheet, something like that. Anybody can type in the chat box as well. So that's how the Meet session works, as well as the regular live session right here. That's essentially everything I wanted to go over today. So back on the main page here, that was all the options here within the Expert Help tab, within the Study tab, and within the Collaborate tab, plus the live session as well. So those are the options that your students will have when they access Brainfuse through the University of Hawaii Community Colleges page. If anyone has any additional questions, you can feel free to contact us anytime. We have an email address at info@brainfuse.com that is checked regularly. And you can also call our general helpline using the Contact Us button right here. And you can speak with somebody if you're having a technical issue, anything like that. Okay, thanks everyone for attending. I hope the webinar was helpful. And again, feel free to contact us anytime if you have any additional questions.